On social media, an Aston Villa fan claimed that the noise level at the stadium was the loudest he had ever heard during the mind-bending last day of 2022, following Ilkay Gundogan's goal. Deep into stoppage time, this Matheus Nunes winner might have very nearly reached those decibel levels thanks to brilliant wing play by Jeremy Doku. For a few seconds, everything became a little wild. The moment when the TV cameras tremble as the stadium's foundations tremble is seismic for Manchester City and a wild moment to go along with all the others. Looking back on that terrible season and its big comeback, this Gundogan moment is likely to be iconic in its own right. It was masterfully orchestrated by an attacker who was frequently criticized for having trouble finding his man, and it was scored by a makeshift right-back who Pep Guardiola recently said wasn't clever enough to play his natural midfield position. That's how this ridiculous campaign can be summed up, as City is somehow in the driver's seat heading into the FA Cup semi-final this weekend with hopes of earning a spot in the Champions League for the 15th time in a row. Rodri ran down to the touchline in delight as they managed to create a bit of drama. An emotional Guardiola gave him a bear hug, just as the staff had done following Saturday's late victory over Everton. City, who seemed to be nearing the end of their season for the most part, shocked everyone by rallying from a 2-goal deficit against Crystal Palace and defeating 2 opponents in the championship match. A comeback for tired legs and for Doku, who came off the bench to turn this and Everton on their heads. Unai Emery was devastated because, just seconds before the 94th-minute intervention, he had believed Villa would pinch it themselves. He wasn't happy with the point anyhow, and now they are 4 points apart from City. They rely on snookers, but as competitors compete against one another, losing is by no means fatal. There was some rage and anxiety in the air. Guardiola and Emery were apprehensive cats that were triggered by any sudden sound or physical contact. City pressed, Villa pushed. After getting grazed by a stallion, early goal scorer Bernardo Silva tumbled around in the spirit of good sportsmanship. To a chorus of booing, Marcus Rashford created an equalizer. When Kevin De Bruyne's big toe was nicked by Lucas Digne, thousands of people's arms were raised in unison. Going forward, 2 genuinely elite sides are feeling each other out in a manner that Premier League games aren't anymore. There was a slight annoyance behind the bite. The event went exactly as the leaders of fan organizations disappointed by City's ticketing rules had intended, especially in light of the current activism in East Manchester. They refused to divert attention from the team's important match in their attempt to qualify for a competition that many protesters will complain about being priced out of anyhow. Instead, they protested outside the stadium. Although the irony of that is rather humorous, the cause is still valuable in the end. The general sentiment toward your average fan is also at the center of the complaints, in addition to the rising prices of viewing City and many other shows of a similar nature. An adult must pay at least £71 to see this game. The protests outside the Colin Bell stand, which took place next to vacationers taking pictures during a one-time visit, demonstrated sentiments towards a Hollywoodized top flight, regardless of how good the spectacle was. Later, after full time, an Irish supporter begged to be allowed back into the stadium because he had left his iPad beneath his seat. This one is worthy of a few pictures. Within 18 seconds, Rashford struck a post, and 7 minutes later, Silva opened the scoring with a cutback from Omar Marmush that Emiliano Martinez only parried into his own goal. Herring off to the corner flag, the celebration brought back memories of Silva's insane response when he scored against Real Madrid here in a European semi-final 2 years prior. Only VAR's 3-minute penalty check after Jacob Ramsey appeared to have been clearly felled by Ruben Dias thigh disrupted the proceedings. After waving it away, Craig Pawson halted play to make sure. Anger and angst were sparked by the contentious event that was broadcast on television as Dias prodded the ball and took Ramsey with him. Someone will be spanked for it. After picking up a ridiculously bad Nunes errant pass in the build-up, Rashford sprinted towards goal and rolled the penalty past Stefan Ortega. That edge, that lingering feeling of impending catastrophe at both ends, was still there. Players were urged to chop opponents down on the counter by Emery and Austin McPhee, his set-piece coach. Then the gasp when Rashford sped past Ortega, who had run out to meet a Morgan Rogers ball but had never arrived. The angle closed a degree too tightly because Rashford had simply run it too far. Rashford strode off quietly as the jeers rang down, while Ollie Watkins sat watching till 14 minutes to play. This dynamic between the two forwards will undoubtedly reach a breaking point in the summer. The continent in which Villa competes may have a significant impact on how it plays out. After the late show, the City's course is now more obvious.